Life rarely, and I mean rarely, unfolds exactly as planned. Divorce, the loss of a loved one, illness, retirement, career transitions, or unexpected financial challenges can change everything. Yet, with thoughtful planning and the right guidance, setbacks can become opportunities to create a stronger and more secure future. Today, we're joined by two remarkable, trusted professionals, peers, mentors, and just overall powerful women who help us do exactly that. So, we got financial advisor Sue Foley joining us from her farm. We were just speaking about that. And it sounds lovely. And of course, we got Marlene Doss, partner at Doss Law. So, ladies, when life doesn't go according to plan, why setbacks are a normal part of life, common life transitions, people underestimate the emotional impact of unexpected change, and why many people delay planning until a crisis occur. Sue, can we start with you?
Mhm.
What financial setbacks do you see that most often, and how can people begin rebuilding?
I think, good morning, by the way. I think the three largest setbacks are number one, job loss,
Mm,
number two, divorce, and then number three would be death of a spouse or illness. And all three of those are traumatic, and a lot of them, I mean, the thing about divorce is that a lot of women know that maybe their marriage may end at some point, but don't really plan it, even though it could happen or it will happen. They still don't do a lot of planning because there's so much fear in the whole issue. And I would say that, Marlene, you would probably say the same thing, that women or men, they don't plan long term for divorce. What happens when that happens, we just have to then we start to plan immediately for all three of those situations. And as a financial planner, that's when I start to do a cash flow and budgets and try and get as much information from them as possible so that we can plan and bring some peace to them for the future.
wow, absolutely. And when it comes to financial, I'm thinking the rebuilding, right?
Yes.
Financial disclosure. I call it financial intimacy. It's
Mm-hmm.
like we can speak about so many intimate topics with
Yeah.
our partners, yet financial. I mean, there are people who still do not disclose, how much money they're like, whether it's at early stages or down the road, like, how much money they have or how much their credit card balance might be, or any financial vulnerability or truth. Um,
I've found that a lot of couples don't disclose debt. So,
mm,
young couples getting married or even older couples that have been married for a long time. I've had clients who, when they find out after their spouse has passed or they're ill, like they've got a mortgage they didn't know they had, or this huge line of credit, or, there's so many things. Or when, like dementia and Alzheimer's is huge now. That could be put into the maybe number three category before a death of a spouse, because before a person's actually told that they have full-blown Alzheimer's, sometimes their behavior and their actions can destroy a financial picture of a couple without them even knowing. And that's happened before in my clientele. So
absolutely. And Marlene, what are the circumstances that you see most often in the estate planning and really legacy preparation?
It is very similar. So I think, divorce, changes in capacity are huge triggers. They're often unexpected. Um, and to add to what Sue was saying, I think cancer is another thing that's been coming up a lot more lately and just shaking the foundations of families, and they are forced to react, put plans in place that maybe they thought about doing in previously, but just never got around to it. So I think cancer has been a difficult thing for people to deal with, along with the changes in relationships. Like I feel like when people are in relationships, they don't really think about one day the other person not being there or not being capable of doing whatever it is that they usually do. And so they don't have those conversations that you are speaking about right now. And sometimes it's just simply because they're just used to one of the people, one of the partners or spouses or whatever the individuals are taking the lead financially and paying the bills, and the other one often has no understanding of what's going on, especially if somebody is a business owner as well. They often have no clue what's going on with the business
Mm-hmm.
until
With
they
the business, that's a big one. When
yeah,
entrepreneurship is at play, and maybe you're incurring debt for the business, that is easier, I don't want to say to hide, but there's a greater separation from what the spouse can see, right? Because your credit card statements or your bank balances, there's a certain amount of visibility,
Mm-hmm.
but anything incurred on a business side, that
mhm,
is definitely a huge concern. I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
In my experience, just championing women, for goodness, over 10 years now, um, I find that a lot of these conversations, the tough conversations, sometimes women are reluctant to have because they think they're going to be a deal breaker.
You
And
mean in a relationship
in a
if they're starting
relationship,
out? Yes, if they're
yes.
starting
Well,
out, and I.
starting out, or when things take a turn for the bad,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? That there's going to be some kind of deal breaker. And the reality is that they're going to be a deal breaker no matter that what, whether it's at the beginning or at the end, right? Anything financial um is really bigger
Yeah. Well, it's one of the
than we
major causes
realize.
of divorce and stress
yeah,
in a marriage is financial. So going back to what you were saying, Marlene, about cancer, and it is like when people are sick, it doesn't matter even if you're dealing with elderly parents or whatever. But for cancer in particular, one of the things that in our company, critical illness insurance, if people
yeah,
get it when they're younger, like I'm talking in 20s and 30s, if people purchase that. So I've had so many people collect on critical illness, like lump sums of money. So if you get one of, and I'm just going to do a generalization, could be some, depends on the company, but if you get one out of 18 or one out of 25 different illnesses, you get paid out a lump sum. And it's so incredibly powerful if you get diagnosed with breast cancer or something, and then all of a sudden you get a payout of 100,000.
mhm,
And a friend of mine in the business years ago, she got ill with cancer, and she got paid out like almost $300,000. And she said it took her over 2.5 years because they had problems. She had to go to radiation. She said even the fact you're going to radiation all the time and all your doctor's appointments, no one understands until you go through it. So
yeah,
having a lump sum of money given to you at the time of a diagnosis is unbelievable. And then the other neat thing about critical illness, it's very hard to get. Like I have it, and but I was like, I thought I won a lottery when I got accepted, because it's like, God, I must be in perfect health. I mean, I got it when I was in my 40s, but the other neat thing that they've incorporated with it, because it's it's another thing to pay, but they put an option in where you get all your money back. So for me right now, I can literally cash in my critical illness and have a tax. They return all my premiums. It's called return a premium. I have over $85,000 right now
Oh,
that I
wow.
can cash in my critical illness, and that's a lump sum of cash for my retirement. So that really helps. But unfortunately, like Marlene says, they're coming to her when they've been diagnosed and maybe haven't done the planning. But
Mhm.
there are things to do that women can do ahead of time
Mhm.
before they get sick.
The part that is, and I know these are obvious things, but they're not,
No,
is
no,
that
they're
these,
not.
these
Yeah.
are difficult conversations,
Hmm.
difficult topics, and having them or living through under emotional upheaval.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah,
imagine trying to do like complex math while, under like under a heavy emotional state, right? How can you make cognitive sound decisions in
Yeah.
the middle of the storm?
Yeah. Well, women too take on the burden in divorce, and when their families are sick, this is probably not going to be a surprise to anyone, but they care more about their family. So they put that on their shoulders too. They care more about what's going to happen with their kids, what's going to happen to their other parent when the other one dies, or, full blown also. They put more pressure on themselves. So anything that can take the pressure off them to plan for ahead of time is the best way.
And
Marlene,
Marlene,
you probably see that too.
we
yeah,
had a brilliant conversation with Keith, who's also, he specializes more on the men's mental health
Yeah.
within our group, right?
Yeah.
We're blessed to have men mentor experts,
Yeah.
and he was saying that usually men do not initiate getting their estate planning and will
correct.
all set up.
Very,
So if
very
it is
correct.
so
Yeah.
if it is the woman that's under siege, like going through the difficult circumstances, and men are generally not the ones taking care of these, what can women do? Like what what can be done based on that setback?
Marlene, what are your
Marlene,
thoughts?
this
I
one's for
mean,
you. We're
I think
leaving the hard questions for
I
you.
think I think we just need to not wait for them. Uh,
Okay.
They're usually willing to follow, is what I find, and to put what's in place once they understand the why and who it's going to protect and stuff. They just don't want to take the initial steps. So as long as somebody leads the charge and gets in touch with the professionals that can help, usually we get it to execution, and if not, having one party at least deal with their piece, especially since we know that women typically live longer.
Yeah, we outlive men.
We outlive them, assuming that they're in in a relationship with men. But regardless, if only one person is willing to do it, then at least that person should put something in place.
Yeah.
And I find that sometimes just getting the conversation started and getting the other person to have a conversation with the other person, then they're less intimidated by the process. It doesn't seem so big and confusing and time consuming, etc. So just getting it started and having the initial conversation just to say, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is all I need from you to get it started. Let's put it in place. Once you have it in place, everybody can be at peace. And just reminding them, like, this is an act of love. This is your responsibility,
Hmm.
right? One day we're not going to be here. We don't know when that is, but it will be one day. And what kind of a legacy do you want to leave behind? Like, you say that you love your family members, your children, your spouse, your partner, whoever it is,
Hmm.
but you're neglecting something huge.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, yeah.
you need to
This is like
understand.
telling your kids, I love you, but feeding them junk,
Yes.
right? It's
I,
the same.
yeah.
It's like, it's contradictory, right? Like, I
Yeah.
love you, but I'm not keeping up on your homework, or I'm
Yeah.
not,
But
is
I'm not willing to do what's needed
Hmm.
willing to
to
do
make
the
sure that
hard
things go.
stuff,
Hmm.
Yes.
right? Be the adult in the room.
Yeah.
Correct.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Correct.
And Sue, you and I are starting to build a lot of data, and I know the two of you will be part of the study that we are doing, updating the study
Hmm.
on the status of women. But am I correct in recalling that married men live longer than single men, and married women live shorter
Yes.
than single women?
So the stat is 80% of men die married and 80% of women die single. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. It's an alarming
I
thing.
just got
Yeah,
like chills on my legs.
I
Like,
know. I know.
wow.
So, I mean, the legacy is the women need to protect their future. And
Mhm.
I what I've found over the years is that you have a conversation, you're doing a financial review with a client and you ask them again, have you done your wills and power of attorneys? No, it's on my list. So I email people. I literally have a paper pending file of bugging people. But what I found is sometimes you just have to tell them the hard stories that have actually happened in my practice. My cousin was killed by a drunk driver. Didn't have a will, going through a divorce, left a 13-year-old. One of my clients was a professor at a university and said to me the week before, Sisu, I didn't need a will. The boys are in high school. And I said to him, no, you still need a will. And the next week he was hit by a car, lived, and it took his wife and I 2 years to get guardianship of his assets.
Yeah.
And then when he did die, then the will, everything had to be probated because he didn't have a will. So she lost to her children. Had to give a third of the estate away. So people do not realize the power of a will and the power of a power of attorney. But
But yeah, instead of watching horror stories in the movies, just like,
just
are
talk to
you
me. Talk
serious?
to me and Marlene. Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
We should have had a warning at the beginning of this episode. It's like
Yeah.
warning, like things that
No.
will keep you up at night.
But
And that,
sometimes that's what people need to hear, that,
Yes.
that's
I'll say
right.
to somebody, you love your parents so much, and you not having a will create such family conflict on both sides
Yes.
of your family if you guys don't have a will. So
100%.
I'll
Absolutely.
often, and Marlene, you wouldn't want to hear this, but for younger people with no kids, I might have them go online and do just a will until they have a child or until they purchase an asset. Then I'll say you got to go to a lawyer. You have to go to a lawyer. And
Honestly,
yeah,
it's even before that. I mean, if they have you in place and you're talking to them about some of the tax implications and stuff,
yeah,
then it's a little better. But there's a lot more that's involved in the process than just going online and filling in, plugging in some numbers. Like people don't understand the roles of the trustee and the executor. They
yeah,
don't understand the impact on beneficiaries. They don't understand what happens
yeah,
when somebody passes away and all the things that have to be taken care of. And an online platform just doesn't explain that to you, you know?
yeah.
Yes. And,
I'm
and a lot
talking
of
young
people are
kids that get
turning.
married and don't really have any assets, literally just
Yeah.
for that. But as
Then,
soon
if
as
anything, they need a proper power of attorney, is what
you,
I would
oh,
say.
for
And
sure.
that's still worth talking to somebody about because, again, online, you're not going to get the proper.
Well, I was telling the boys, the gentlemen, they're not boys. I was telling the gentleman yesterday, actually, we recorded, so we'll air shortly. And I was saying that, having lived through a will, drama myself, I understand the power of them. But the one that terrifies me is the power of attorney, is if
100%.
somebody making decisions for me while I'm still alive and I may come back. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like
yeah,
if I'm incapacitated in a coma for a couple of days or whatever, any decision they make and I come back and recover, I'm living with those decisions they have
yeah,
made.
yeah.
Well,
You
uh,
could do a whole segment on power of attorney
Yes.
horror stores
I mean,
stories.
so you just mentioned it. Like without it, you have to do a guardianship application
Yeah,
that is
yes.
that's a court process
yeah.
that
Took
takes
two
a
Sorry,
lot.
I'm
years.
not laughing at the seriousness. I'm laughing
Yeah.
at we need to start a series on horror stories. My
Yeah.
goodness.
If that's what it takes for people to get something done, then because it's real life. I mean,
And there's
sadly,
things within your control. This is the part that is just like mind blowing. Is that
yeah,
these are relatively simple things to set in place to
yeah,
stop like horrendous things from happening, worse than the tragedy of anybody losing you or anybody,
yeah,
or whatever financial setback or whatever, any setback you're going through.
Yes.
So let's talk about, yes, I know that part is so important and we're gonna come back and do more of these for sure. I want to talk about the bouncing back, right? The setbacks that are not death.
hmm
The setbacks that you know, they're double hinged, right? Like not only is the setback, but when in your life they occur. Like if you have a bankruptcy in your 20s for whatever reason, right? If you have a bankruptcy in your 20s, well, you got time, right? You got a bankruptcy in your 60s or 70s.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
Yeah.
what do we do, right?
yeah.
Let's talk about that, Sue. The importance of your story. This is not a blanket story for the world, right? This is your particular context when it comes to bouncing back, let's say financially, to start.
Well, are you talking about myself personally or what I say
No,
to
just
women
in
when
what
they've
you see in your, not yours.
um
You're so
well,
sweet.
it's
No,
both,
what
but
you see.
I think the most important thing when somebody comes to me or gets in touch with me and tells me what's happened, it's so important that for starters, we have to have all the documentation. So let's say it's a divorce we're talking about. I need to have everything. We need to go through everything. We need to talk about future, what they want to see happen. I mean, it's an emotional roller coaster for starters.
Mhm.
And we just talked about how the whole family, kids and everything sitting on their shoulders. It's about a change in everything in their lives, everything that they expected. But the worst thing is, they call, if it's after, a lot of divorces, Marlene, you probably would say this too, happen after the kids have grown up. So maybe you've been married 20 years and now all of a sudden you're closer to retirement. They call those gray divorces. And now you've got to split your assets at a time when you're supposed to be accumulating the most amount of money.
Yeah.
I mean, every situation's different because some women get inheritances from their families. Some people get
Life
debt
insurance
from their parents, and
payouts from
are
their
looking after them
parents.
as well. So that sandwich generation thing is even worse. Um, like women, it's an opportunity for women after the dust settles and that you can see that they're going to be okay. And we've talked about this before. Really, the most important thing for me is after a woman has split, if they can keep a home or a roof over their head and own it, that to me is the best scenario. Like I really like to empower women to try and keep a roof over their head and own it because it gives them personal financial freedom. They know that's an appreciating asset. It's their largest tax-free asset and it just gives them such comfort. So every situation is so different for, I mean, some
Yeah.
people don't have the ability to keep a home. And
Mhm.
then of course, then you have to invest whatever they do have for their future and give them some kind of peace of mind.
And is of great divorces, I am aware of that statistic. And in my personal experience, I did get divorced after almost 20 years of marriage. It just happened that I got married at 22 because I thought it was a brilliant idea. So, like I was 40, like early 40s and
Yeah.
divorced. And I have to tell you, thank like not thank God, like thank God that that unfortunate situation happened when I was relatively younger,
Yeah.
right? Because I cannot imagine going through it now, right? And I can totally see how, it's maybe a little bit easier because the children are grown up, right? Like
Yeah.
you're not affecting their life that much, although they still get affected. But they but now your setback runway is different.
See, I'm going to say divorce is harder on older kids than younger
Oh, do
kids.
tell. Okay.
Well, that's my own personal
Yeah,
opinion.
of course.
Yeah, I just see it in my clientele with my own kids. I think it's harder. I was married 24 years, and yeah, I think I don't think it's easy at any age, and
Oh,
that's
yeah,
why
of
women take
course.
that and put it on their
Of course.
shoulders. All you think about is the effect that you're having on your whole family, and that's just a woman thing.
I
So,
think, yeah, regardless, it's going to change the way the children view relationships. When it
hmm
comes to
Yes.
financial security, you
yeah,
know, and especially if they don't get help with
yeah,
processing all of it and stuff. And I think a lot of people don't, partly because there might be a little bit of shame still attached to it, but I also feel like it's almost overly normalized getting a divorce and relationships ending, that is just something people just have to cope with now. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know if that's true. I'm just,
No, it's, you know what?
the cons of it, but
Is it is absolutely true. And I know culture has
Mm-hmm.
something to do with it. I know many cultures, like yours, Marlene,
Mm-hmm.
is very family oriented. Like you, community, family, like number one, right? And we went through, and it's only been in the last few decades that it was this big urge to leave home, right? Like opposite to, like, I am Hispanic, Latin Hispanic, and we don't leave home until you get married, right? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
so there's a
true.
greater sense of family. Like cottages are great for that, right? Because they bring the
Mm-hmm.
family together. If you got a pool in your backyard, it's great for that because they'll bring the kids and their children together. So anything you can do to try to keep that family unit as a team is so important, and it starts when they are young.
Mm-hmm.
For sure, for sure. We need to, especially now with so much automation and AI and devices, and everybody's connected, including the parents, right? Including the parents.
Yeah.
I had a situation with my puppy. Just He's not a puppy. He's 16, so he's like a dignified senior. And he ate something that made him sick last week. And when we were at the vet, he was saying, could he have eaten something that you didn't catch it, right? And I specifically said, I don't take my phone when I am walking the dog. It's like I'm not walking, I'm not
Yeah.
doing the device thing. Like you gotta be present,
Mhm.
especially, back to the being the adult in the room, right? So we need to have those money conversations. We need to have those legacy and responsibility, family responsibility conversations. And it's never too late to start. It's never too late to start. It may not be as impactful if you start later, but it's never too late to have them. So in our second chances, what is the best wish that you have when it comes to second chances for people that are dealing with the shame of whatever, losing a job or bankruptcy or divorce or illness? So people actually feel shame in illness, right? In not being able to be who they were, or not they're ashamed of, say, cancer, but there's an identity that has been lost, right? As to who they were. What is your wish that for people that are through that second chance, that are giving themselves a second chance, both financially and legacy and state planning and that? So, Marlene, if you want to get us started, that'd be great.
I think it would be to look at these events that we don't want or don't expect as an opportunity to reflect on what's in place and what's missing, and to actually take the necessary steps that perhaps have been procrastinated for way too long. To take it as an opportunity to regain control by putting all the things in place that need to be put in place, having the conversations that perhaps should have happened a long time ago. Make sure whoever needs to have an understanding of what you have or don't have and what you want, your wishes, are actually discussed and shared with the people that need to know it. Otherwise, not only are you flying blind, but they're flying blind. So if you have something that happens unexpectedly, as you said, whether it's a job loss, whether it's a illness, or the passing of somebody, or a temporary, ideally temporary, change in
Well,
your
the power of
capacity.
attorney, yeah,
Oh,
that is
And
temporary.
the same thing happened. My lights went out in my office. Just,
oh,
Well, you look lovely.
oh, there we go. I didn't move, so that's funny.
That is too fun. You gotta move
Yeah,
for
I
I
gotta
September.
think,
move.
Sorry.
I think it's just so important for people to take that opportunity to reset and get organized.
Okay,
And that
reset
includes
and
definitely putting
organize.
at a very minimum, the power of attorney for property is one of the most important documents
Okay.
anybody will ever create.
Yeah.
Okay. I already have ideas in my head of how we're putting a power squad to make it our mission to really champion women's getting their house in order. Like
Mhm.
this is a must. If there's ever
Yeah.
altruism, from coming from us, is that. Sue, what is your one wish for
Well,
our audience?
I think it's that you can learn from the past. You
Mhm.
can rediscover who this new person is, whether you've gone through a very horrible illness, divorce, whatever it is, job loss, and that going forward, you have a new opportunity for hobbies, travel, new friends. Like there's so many social aspects about changing your life around, but financially, for someone who hasn't put money away, this is an opportunity like where they sit down with a financial planner and they change things and give themselves the power to create a new life. If they've gone through a divorce, obviously number one call is to a lawyer, and the second one should be to a financial planner.
Hmm.
Mhm.
They can't be. The problem is that some people just get frozen.
Hmm.
They just don't even know what to do. And if they just start, just like Marlene said, they just have to do it. And once they start the process, then they see by the end that everything's coming together. I mean, I remember when I bought my home after my divorce, my first home, and I did a little spin in the front hall, and I was like, I did it. I did it. It's mine. It's mine. My kids lived with me, but there's power in that. And
It's a
just
new chapter. It's a new
yeah, it
story.
is. And knowing that you're going to be okay and having somebody support you, whether it's your lawyer, your financial planner, your friends, your new community that you're with. I mean, everything changes with those three things. Everything in your life changes, you
Brilliant.
know?
If you have found the messages that we brought to you today just enough to nudge you into action or to nudge you into just doing the next right thing, right? I am thrilled to let you know that both Sue Foley and Marlene Doss are two of our presenters at our upcoming live event, September 12th. So if you're in the GTA North, Richmond Hill, Markham, we're having our event at the All Nations Event Center, and 407 404. I encourage you to come meet these powerful ladies live, and we're going to have many from roundtables to other summits, and you can count on them. I count on them. I trust them with my life decisions. So I thank you, everybody, and we don't. I don't like scare tactics, but sometimes is they're a bucket of cold water. So is yes, we have to listen to the horror stories to make sure that they don't happen to us. Thank you,
Mhm.
everybody. Thank you,
Thank
ladies.
you.
Thank
Until
you.
next time.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.